Okay guys, this is lesson 1.4. How can we rewrite expressions in different forms? So we're going to start with just a whole number, 25. How could we rewrite that in different forms? So, for example, 25 can be rewritten as 5 squared. It could also be rewritten as 5 times 5. It could also be rewritten as 10 plus 15, or 12.5 plus 12.5. So if you notice, there's all these different types of structures or ways we can rewrite the number 25. Another one would be 2 times 10 plus 5. So that's what we're going to do today, except we're going to do it with expressions, so not just a whole number like 25. This is important because we're going to talk a lot about seeing structure in expressions and a lot about recognizing when two expressions are equivalent, even though they don't look exactly the same. So let's look at example 2. So we have 3x squared plus 6x minus 7. Okay, well I'm going to rewrite it a different way by looking at what these first two terms have in common. They both have an x. They share an x. They also are both divisible by 3. So I'm going to rewrite this whole expression as 3x times x plus 2 and then minus 7. This is equivalent to the original expression. I know it's equivalent because if I were to multiply the 3x back to the x and the 2, I would end up with this first part, and then I still have the minus 7 there. I'm going to keep going with this. So instead of taking the 3 and the x out, what if I just took the 3 out? Then I would have x squared plus 2x, and then still the minus 7 there. So there's a lot of different things we could do. I could take it even further, and I could go 3 times x squared plus 2x minus 5 minus 2, because negative 5 minus 2 is equal to negative 7. There's a lot of different things you can do to play around with expressions and still keeping them the same, still keeping them equivalent. Okay, let's try one more. The third example is going to be x squared plus 2x equals 5. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the 5 over to the other side. So I have x squared plus 2x minus 5 equals 0. These are equivalent. Next, I'm going to actually leave the x squared as the only thing on the left side. So I'm going to move the other two terms over to the other side. So that means it would be x squared equals negative 2x and positive 5 over here. If you're having trouble seeing that, write it out on the side. Make sure you understand it before you move forward in the video. Okay, we're going to do one more. Actually, we'll do 2 more. So another thing I'm going to do is from here, I am going to leave the 2x where it is, move the 5 over, and move the x squared onto the other side. So what that looks like is 2x minus 5 equals negative x squared. So I moved this to the other side, this to this side. Remember, it's still all equivalent. Okay, I'm going to do one more. So I'm going to rewrite this by taking an x out of the first 2 terms. So then what's left is x plus 2. And then just leaving the equals 5. These are all equivalent to each other. Okay, so what we're going to do is a lot more practice with this in class, but also throughout the year. Before we end this video, I want to bring up a few common mistakes. So for example, 3 here, a common mistake is when we have an equivalent sign, the equal sign here, is that when people move terms or expressions from one side to the other, they often forget to change the sign. So for example, from here, if we were moving the 5 over, what we might see a lot of people do is x squared plus 2x plus 5 equals 0. But remember, that's actually not equivalent to that. Not equivalent. Okay? Because if we're moving the 5 to the other side, we have to negate it. How about an example 2? Some common mistakes we might see. Okay, well, so going from here to here, we're taking a 3 and an x out of the first two terms. So we're actually just dividing the first two terms by 3x. So a common mistake we might see is people leaving a 6 here instead of a 2. And obviously we see that if we were to multiply the 3x back, we wouldn't end up with that original expression, so that is not correct. But that's going to come up. People are going to forget to take the 3x out of both the first and second term. Okay, so these are just a few things that we want to look out for. So make sure you wrote those common mistakes or misconceptions in the left-hand side of your notes. Make sure you write any questions or comments or concerns in the reflection part of your homework. Okay, guys, see you tomorrow.